This Thrive Loud episode is brought to you by Hinge Consulting. Success on Amazon hinges on well-executed strategies. Contact Hinge Consulting to learn about total Amazon channel management and to see if your business has what it takes to grow over 300% over the next 12 months. That's Hinge Consulting at hingeconsulting.co.
Hey Thrive Loud listeners, are you down and out during these cold winter months? Is your daily routine getting a little boring? Do you need something that gets you motivated? Well then get up from what you're doing and get the blood flowing. Hit the gym, go for a hike in the cold, go for a run, do something. And while you're out there, pop in your headphones, load up your podcast app, and get inspired with the amazing content Thrive Loud with Lou Diamond has for you. Us interns at Thrive Loud are working our tails off to pull together these great shows to bring you some incredible content, and you are missing out if you're not listening. Download it, subscribe to it, share the heck out of it on social media. It's great stuff. It's not just about listening. The show is called Thrive Loud, people, so get to it and start thriving as loud as you can by listening to all of these inspiring episodes.
Now I'm getting really excited. Okay, this is the part where I'm going to get loud.
Holy crap, here we go.
I like telling stories.
I learn best through experiences.
Everything I do is because of everything I did.
Talk about having maximum impact while having a ton of fun.
When you can net through that, what you do leave behind for your listener will have more impact.
Wow, bring it on.
It's time to take an inside look at those that are taking their lives, their businesses, and their passions to the next level. Get ready to thrive loud with Lou Diamond.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Thrive Loud with Lou Diamond, connecting you to the most inspiring and amazing people that are thriving each and every day. I'm your host, Lou Diamond. Today on Thrive Loud, I bring you part presentation skills coach, part emotional intelligence mentor, part motivational speaker, and at times part actor or stand-up comedian. We're not quite sure. She's the founder of Red Leaf Coaching, specializing in engaging, practical, and refreshing no-nonsense executive communication skills workshops and keynotes. Oh, are we in for a fun one on Thrive Loud today because we have Stacee Mandeville. Stacee, how are you today?
I'm fantastic, Lou. How are you?
I want the Thrive Loud listeners to know that when we produce certain shows, things sometimes go really smoothly, and you would have no idea because you see an edited version or hear an edited version of the show. I don't know how many microphones or headsets or browsers or even computers did we go through, Stacee, before we just hit the record button?
5 or 6. I don't know. I lost track. I've got a trash can full of earbuds. I'm going to sell them on eBay, see if I can shuck them off on somebody gullible.
You know, someone in Europe or in China is going to pick up a set of headphones and go, "Hey, these don't work." So, Stacee and I met. It's actually more than a year ago. It's probably more like maybe a year and a half ago. That sounds about right.
It could be. I don't know. It seems like yesterday.
It feels like yesterday. And Stacee is one of the most dynamic presenters you will ever encounter, as I described in her bio of all the stuff she does with Red Leaf Coaching. But her acting and stand-up, she might not think she's a stand-up comedian, but I think she's pretty funny. And she has to be one of the more authentic and real people, but has incredible communication skills. And in fact, the two of us, with our very good friend, former Thrive Loud guest, Haley Foster, who's on our show sometime late last year, we were at one of her events and both of us got to present. And I remembered following Stacee. Dear God, what it's like to follow the communication expert with no ums or uhs or buts or whatnot. And she'll pick every one of these things out because she's a very attentive listener.
Oh, no. I only pick when I'm being paid. I don't criticize my friends. No. That's not what it's about. And you were fantastic, by the way. So it was no problem following me. You were brilliant.
I will say this, that I was so inspired by Stacee that I'm actually more conscious of it. And Thrive Loud started not too long after all of that. So obviously I kept the communication skills rolling and, utilized my lessons learned from her unbelievable teachings. And I say this to the Thrive Loud listeners. We've had lots of people who focus on presence on stage or communication coaches. Her stuff is tactical, real. And I love how she says this. It's no nonsense. And I think, as you can tell by her very shy personality, if you haven't figured it out yet, and her fiery red hair by the picture you'll see on the opening of the artwork for this show, Stacee has a pretty interesting journey, a non-traditional one at that. So why don't you take the baton and start moving down a path, Stacee, where you can help the Thrive Loud community learn a little bit about how you got to where you are today?
Well, it's very funny because when I get together with other coaches, they all talk about my education, my experience. I worked in the corporate for 25 years, blah, 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 blah. And I'm always a little intimidated, but then also excited because my journey is very different. I started out as an actor. I went to NYU Stella Adler Conservatory for Classical Theater, and I was going to be an actor. And my mother told me, you need to learn to type. And I said, I will never, ever, ever be in a job where I'll be typing. And it was the only thing she was ever right about, because not that I'm typing behind a desk, but I do have to write proposals and, web things. And it's, I do wish I had learned to type. But I went through the theater program, and on that journey, you learn all kinds of things about body language and voice, and really it's emotional intelligence and psychology and analyzing, and actors are incredibly sensitive. And when you start directing plays, you really know you learn how to massage an ego and speak to people so that they can accept critique and move forward. And on this journey, I was in a ridiculous play, which is basically one step higher than street performing, audience participation theater. And we did the show twice a week for years, and I don't remember, it's all a blur. But I met a gentleman there who had a consultancy doing public speaking, and we were passing out business cards at the Christmas party, and my business card, I could not afford to have my headshot on it. So to be memorable, my business card was very elegant, gold leaf and black with script. And at the bottom it said, after actress, chanteuse, etc., it said balls, quick wit, and a touch of class. And he saw my business card and he said, I think you can do what I do. Call me. And I started working for him with no training. Merck Pharmaceuticals. He was like, buy a suit. It's like, okay. And I showed up and started coaching by the seat of my pants. And then here I am, years later. And I now have my own consultancy and am still doing it to this day. So I'm basically teaching stealth acting to business people.
So one of the things, and in blah, blah, blah years or whatever that number would be, they bleep out a lot of the numbers. We could have done that editing wise anyway.
Oh, I mean, it's fine. I've been doing it since 1999.
Wow. Yeah. And what I will tell you is that the tips, one of the things I think that would be really good, and this is important, what I found so energizing about Stacee's, every time I speak to her, I learn something. And I always laugh. Even it's really hard to be on this podcast show because she is very witty, even when she breaks into her accents. And you should see when she does it and she's on stage, and we'll give all the links where you can actually watch how she helps people perform and learn. One of the things that I took to heart the most was what to do with your hands. And Stacee has a whole big thing about what to do with her hands. In fact, I'm actually going to share that a little bit. Some of the jokes that can you share with the listeners a little bit about placing your hands and some of the analogies you do when you describe these weird things?
Well, and I'd love to take credit for all of them, but a lot of these things are really stock examples because they're just so classically done by everyone. When you put your hands, people say to me all the time, I don't know what to do with my hands. And for my money, if you're standing there in front of the room and your hands feel like giant canned hams at your sides and you're like, I don't know, what do I do? You're not connected to the audience. You're in your head. You're not really talking with people. You're talking at them. And then some of the weird things happen where, you cross your hands in front of your naughty bits. And we call that the fig leaf pose, because you're protecting your, Garden of Eden. And then there's the hands behind the back military or handcuff pose, being arrested pose. Hands in the pockets are great. It's so comfortable. Hands in my pockets. Yeah, I feel good. This is safe, until you start gesturing from your pockets. And then it gets a little strange and people don't know what you're doing in there. Or you've got change in your pockets and they're counting, does he got, $5 worth of quarters in there? 10 dimes? What's going on? All of these things. There was once a client we had that he spent his entire talk with his arms crossed, with one hand up, stroking an invisible imaginary goatee. I swear to God, you cannot make this up. And we said to him, "What? Talk to us about that thing you're doing with your hands." And he said, "Oh, well, I think it makes me look intelligent."
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, we were let's explore our options on how to do that. And then, of course, there's holding things in your hand. People will say to me all the time, "But Stacee, I need to hold onto a pen or a clicker or a notebook or something." And sure, that feels good. It makes all of your energy, all of your intonation, all of your passion and humanity go into that object. And then you don't have to connect with anybody ever. And it's better to put the thing down and be uncomfortable. And if I may, I had a horrible / wonderful acting teacher. She was so mean. She was the worst. And there was this poor young actress. She was acting her heart out. To be honest, she was terrible. But that's okay. She was trying. And it was emotional, this crying thing. And the teacher stopped her and said, "Stop. You don't know what you're talking about. Get off the platform." And then she took a long drag of her cigarette because she smoked. And the girl was like, but I felt it. And the teacher took another long drag. And then she said, "No one cares how you feel. It is only how you are perceived. Sit down." And the girl was very upset. But I take that with me to the corporate world, because you feel comfortable with holding the pen. You feel comfortable in fig leaf position. You feel comfortable. No one cares how you feel. The audience only cares that you provide value, information, and a passionate portrayal of information that they can then take back and use for future decision making to make their jobs easier. So no one cares how you feel, darling.
So here's my follow up on the thing with the hands. Now I'm 5'11" in height. However, I have the arms of somebody that should be 6'3". They say your wingspan is about your body height. Literally, I have almost orangutan arms, and I've always been very conscious about it. But I've also known that I do talk with my hands a lot. In fact, I have a standing desk. Many times I'll do some of these podcast interviews from the standing desk because my hands need to move. And recently, my favorite acquisition was this fits around my ring clicker, because I do sometimes have presentation materials to use, not always, when I speak. And holding that stupid clicker would take away the energy that I had. And I found this thing that literally you couldn't even see that I had it if the back of my hands were to the audience.
So wait a minute, didn't you and I talk about inventing that?
Yes. But I found one. I found one, Stacee,
and you didn't tell me?
Not only I didn't tell you because it's en route to you. I actually got one for you. It is coming. It is early January. It is a belated holiday present for you.
Shut the front door. You're the best.
Shut the front door. I got this, and I saw it. And wait, the best is the guy that introduced it to me is another fellow speaker. We'll give him credit for another time. But he didn't. I didn't actually. He did something where he took women's stockings, the sheath of it, and covered the actual unit itself in it, so it looked skin color. So that literally, you really couldn't see it if you were from a big distance. But it's a wonderful thing, because with somebody with big hands, I'm just going to own up to the fact that I have the hands. And to that point, I love that comment with that accent. It's how you're perceived, and only me. I'm conscious about these long gargantuan things that have been attached to me since birth. However, the reality is how I use them is an energy that you do drive, because that is such an important component to who you are. It's your body, that body language. And that's the stuff that you talk about. I love it because you do a phenomenal job of explaining that. And it's very comical, obviously, for the listeners who just got a chance to get true Stacee at that part of her that comes through that actor stand-up comedian bit. Okay, so one of the things that I know is you're not only just about the way that you present in whether an audience or for like keynote or anything like that, you actually help people with communication skills within the office. A lot of these clients that you work with or in meetings. Can you talk a little bit about that work? Because I actually think that that's pretty interesting as well.
Yeah, this has been more of an offshoot as I become more and more experienced in my own business. We only used to do communications or public speaking, rather, formal presentation skills in front of the room when I worked for the other gentleman. But now I'm on my own. People will say, "Oh, Stacee, can you teach influencing?" And I go, in my head, I go, "No." And then in my mouth, I go, "Of course, absolutely. When? Fabulous. I'll put it in my calendar." And then I look it up and do some research, and I discover that so much of business and so many communication skills courses are based on the same fundamentals. So I've worked on influencing, people management, executive presence, networking, just sales even. And I'm not a Sandler sales trainer or any of those, but how you use your voice, how you use your body language on a sales call is incredibly important. So I'm bringing to bear all of my experience to expand my offerings on what I can bring to the table, and including the DISC methods. I don't know if you've ever heard of the DISC styles. They're fascinating ways to start a conversation about different personalities in the office and how to conflict manage different types of people. So it's been a really exciting journey for me as I learn more. I'm not at the end of my learning, and it's exciting to dive in every time someone asks me to do a new course. It's really fun. So
Stace, this is an interesting thing because actors are passionate people by nature, or at least the ones that are good actors. They tend to have to draw into a lot of emotions,
yeah,
I think, right?
I think so.
And you loved acting, and here you are, you've spent a great career coaching. And what is the thing that gets, when you used to perform, there's the being on stage and executing and drawing out a character that got you excited. What gets you the most excited about coaching in the work that you do with Red Leaf?
Lou, in my journey as an actor and an artist, I realized that I prefer directing to acting.
Okay.
I'm fairly good at acting. I've been told I'm good. But I really always wanted to direct everybody's part. I was always like, that actor should be doing that, and this is stupid, and that set piece shouldn't be there in my head. And I thought, well, you're being obnoxious. If you're going to direct, maybe you should direct and see if you're any good at it. And if you're not, maybe you should shut up. So I started directing, and I found that was amazing because I could kind of play everybody's part in a way and help them find the role and see the whole arc, the big picture. And I find that coaching fulfills that. I'm able to walk somebody from a point in their existence of fearfulness or confusion or not knowing what route to take and really point them in the right direction, turn them towards the light. And then by the end of a coaching, because what I do tends to be as visceral and immediate as possible, in even one day, I can see a physical, emotional difference in those people and a change in the way they behave and present themselves. And I find that incredibly rewarding and exciting in a way that going through the motions, being in a play, putting on your costume, getting the applause, taking off the costume, it didn't have that, wow, this is real life and I'm really helping kind of sensation. So I think that's what it is. I'm helping people in the real world overcome something that can make their job and life and existence better, warmer, friendlier, and just easier in the long run.
That's great. And it's interesting, Stacee, because it's hard. What I love about the way that you coach is that you inject real valuable lessons and skills. And you definitely, as the listeners have had a chance to hear, inject that level of humor, because that is so authentically you, just to make light of a certain situation, or just even the way or the tone of your voice, which is pretty cool at that. So this is a question I ask all of the Thrive Loud guests, and I love asking it because it always has the most amazing answers. And this is one I have no idea where it's going to go. So when Stacee Mandeville is having trouble thriving, who does she turn to get back on the thriving track?
Ooh, wow. That is a tough one. I tend to pull from a different source depending on what kind of a thing I'm having trouble thriving in. And often I will go to different sources because all of my friends and colleagues bring a different magic perspective. I find I turn to my fiance, of course, a lot because he's here, and he gets a lot of the venting and just I can't, and he's always the most supportive. In fact, for when I started my own consultancy, as you do, you tend to not have any clients, and you spend a lot of time networking and schmoozing and writing and speaking for free. And he completely emotionally and financially supported me through that time. And now I'm at this point where I'm thriving. So I can give that back to him. Sometimes I turn to, I have several girlfriends who are incredibly intelligent from my past life theater friends who boost me and give me energy and remind me of my creative spirit, which sometimes I forget. And then I have made some really incredible friendships, networking, business friends who can give me incredible advice and hold my hand through difficult proposals or clients that are a little scary. And one in particular I will name, Elizabeth Perea, is a fabulous entrepreneur. And she started a women's group, a coaching women's group. And we are meeting once a month to support each other and help and mentor. And that's been fantastic as well.
Oh, that's awesome. Stacee, we're recording this at the early part of 2018. Mm-hmm. And any specific goals that you have set for this year or for Red Leaf, specifically for you?
Goals for this year, I'm not much of a resolution kind of a person, but for me, each year kind of has a vibe to it. And within the first week or so of a year, I begin to go, my brain and my, spirit, I suppose, tunes in and goes, I can feel the woo-woo. This year is going to be about blank. And it's really leveling up. I'm at that point where I'm ready for the big leagues. I'm ready to run with the big dogs. It's taking a little bit of deep breathing, going, okay, I'm ready for these big things, but I can feel it coming, and stepping up to that, and leaving a little bit more of that maybe artistic personality that's a little lazier than she should be behind, and really stepping into my entrepreneurial, I'm a businesswoman self, if that makes sense.
I think it does. Actually, it's rather ironic because right before we hit the record button here, we talked about the fact that the picture that you currently had in your Twitter handle it was your headshot from your acting days.
Yes, my theatrical headshot.
And you sent me recently, which is the cover art for this particular episode, this wonderful picture of you. And I commented, I go, wow, you look sharp. You look cool. You can actually see the evolution from this actor to entrepreneur. So I do see where that's coming. And I'm excited for you on this journey, this is why you're on Thrive Loud, aside from your ridiculously unbelievable communication and humor skills, which if you could only imagine, Thrive Loud listeners, what it's like when Lou and Stacee actually have like a meeting or a networking conversation or a business talk. It's a little crazy because we're actually talking about both of us performing on a stage for a session in New York City, not in the not too distant
Absolutely. Maybe we should record that next time. Just us, just hanging out, chatting. I think they'd love that.
What I do know is that after this particular conversation, the production company that helps to edit my podcast is going to be like, she needs her own show, which I've always thought she should have her own. He doesn't have a minute of time, of course, to find any of that.
No,
who knows? We'll see what we.
But we'll see what we can do. I'm open. It's the beginning of 2018. I'm looking for the path.
There you go. Okay, so with that path, help share with all the Thrive Loud listeners all the links on where people can find Red Leaf, learn about Stacee, and how they can connect with you.
Really, the best way to connect with me is through my website, which is www.redleafcoaching.com. And that's where mostly I live. I would be lying if I told you my Facebook page was fantastic. It's not, because social media is really not my favorite, and I have a fantastic business coach named Rob Fortier. He calls himself the marketing escape artist, but he said his thing is do it your way, business your way. And social media has not been my journey up until now, but I do have a Facebook page, Red Leaf Coaching on Facebook, and I'm thinking in 2018 I might expand that a little bit. And if you should like to tweet me, it is _S_M Mandeville, MANDEVILLE, and that's Twitter. And I think that's all my things.
That's pretty good. And I'll make sure that all of those are in the show notes so that everything is there.
Fantastic.
Stacee Mandeville.
Lou Diamond.
What is your all-time favorite? Well, what is your all-time favorite movie?
There's two. And because I've grown.
I'll give you two.
Thank you. I've grown. No, I haven't. I haven't grown at all. I have sophomoric taste in movies. My favorite all-time movie is True Lies, with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Jamie Lee Curtis. Yeah. Because
spectacular movie.
Yeah, it was one of the worst days of my life at the time. And I went to see that movie and laughed my butt off. And I felt so good after that. I was like, it's going to be okay. And that's the power of theater, why you become an actor, because it's going to make it okay. But right now, my favorite is Guardians of the Galaxy 1. I got to say, Rocket Raccoon is my people.
I'll tell you that both movies, both the first and the volume 2, and I know there's a volume 3 coming. By the way, those Guardian guys, they're it's coming out this summer. I forgot what it's called, something War, one of the Avenger movies. You'll get a chance to see the Guardian folks.
Yes, I saw it. I saw the trailer. I was like, oh my God, they're back. And I would love to say, I love art films and documentaries, but really I'd be lying. I love anything.
We want you to be.
If it's blowing up, there's swords, fantasy, sci-fi, I'm in. If it's a rom-com, I'm out.
There you go. Stacee Mandeville, the rock star, can't thank you enough for coming on to Thrive Loud today.
Lou Diamond, I can't thank you enough for having me. It was a pleasure, and I definitely look forward to hanging out and chatting and speaking with you in 2018 multiple times if possible.
We truly hope so, and we know so. So thanks again, Stacee, for coming on.
All right. Thanks, Lou.
And to all you're welcome. And to all the Thrive Loud listeners out there, keep thriving onward and upward. And remember, be brief, be bright, be gone.
You've been listening to Thrive Loud with your host, Lou Diamond. Make sure to subscribe on iTunes, Overcast, or wherever you get your podcasts. And follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Thrive Loud. Or find us on the web at thriveloud.com.